Hello, good afternoon. This is me. I am Jose, and we are going to watch the fourth stage, actually, of the Boels Ladies Tour, day 5. And it's been very exciting so far. I got a, yeah. Now I hear myself. Okay, this is the sprint of yesterday with a breakaway of 4 riders: Amy Pieters, Lisa Klein, Lizzie Dijknen and Amanda Spratt. And contrary to the result of the European Championships in Alkmaar last month, this time Lisa Klein beats Amy Pieters and wins the sprint. Lorena Wiebes crosses the line in 5th place, but she is short 2 seconds to keep that orange leader's jersey. Result of stage 3 was actually the Queen stage, the longest one of the week. Klein, Pieters, Dijknen and Spratt, the 4 riders in that breakaway. And then Lorena Wiebes, Bastianelli and Lucinda Brandt. And by 2 seconds, she takes the lead in the overall classification. Lisa Klein, only 23 years of age, of the Canyon SRAM team. Lorena Wiebes now at 2 seconds, Amy Pieters at 6, Brandt at 10, Van Vleuten, last year's winner, at 12, and everything's still so very close. Today we have bonus seconds on offer about 12 kilometers out from the finish line and of course on the finish line itself. So there is a possibility that we're going to have a new leader in the GC yet again. So stay tuned for some exciting racing. It's stage 4 in the east of the country, starting in Arnhem, and then we go towards the west. It's a city-to-city race today, no local laps like we had in previous days. The River Waal, and then we go back to Nijmegen, and as you can see, the weather is absolutely dreadful yet again, and we have had a little split in the bunch as we were riding those dikes alongside the Waal River. But that group has been caught back, and 3 riders have escaped from that group, and we recognize Rianne Marcus at the front of the CCC Live team. Also a rider from Virtue, I think it's Guarishi, and one unidentified rider there of the Sunweb team. Very active team in that first group. It's very difficult to see because the weather circumstances are absolutely dreadful. We have the peloton chasing these riders. We're about 43 kilometers out from the finish line, and we could see at the front of that first group already Christina Judas leading the chase, the Luxembourg national champion. Rianne Marcus, she was not very happy with the result that she had yesterday because she missed the split actually, which was something that she was very unhappy with. But see, she bounced back really well and is now very active. She made that first split and is now back on the attack, the rider of CCC Live. She comes from a little village just outside of Amsterdam and lives together with the former national champion mountain biking, Jasper Okkeloen. So this is the breakaway. Sarah Penton is the former Swedish champion. You can see it on her sleeves there. Franziska Koch, the tall German rider, only 20 years of age, of the Sunweb team, and Rianne Marcus of CCC Live. One rider trying to bridge across there. It's Vittoria Guazzini. She's actually leading the peloton at the moment with Christina Judas. Vittoria Guazzini, a very young Italian rider, very talented rider as well. Part of the team pursuit when we look back at the under-23 track championships, and a very talented generation they have in Italy with so many great up-and-coming riders under 23 with Balsamo, Pater Noster, Qualiotto, Guazzini, etc. And even now with the junior races, there is new Italian talent coming up. But this is the breakaway at the moment with number 36, Rianne Marcus, with number 76, Sarah Penton, and in last place of this breakaway of 3 riders of the Sunweb team, Franziska Koch, youngest one also of the group. Had a really good prologue as well, Franziska Koch, like I said, a young rider from Germany. This is her first year with the Sunweb team, very promising junior rider, but unfortunately she broke her foot just before the World Championships in Innsbruck and therefore could not compete for her country, for Germany, at the World Championships in Innsbruck. But this is absolutely one of the riders to watch for the future. And we are going to see a lot more of her. Today's race from Arnhem to Nijmegen, it's actually maybe 20 kilometers apart. Arnhem to the north and Nijmegen to the south, all in the province of Gelderland. And Nijmegen is actually the oldest city of the country. Novio Magus, it was called in Roman times. And that is, of course, because it's founded alongside a river, like you see with a lot of ancient cities. And the same goes for this one. Peloton, you can see that it's really, really hard work there. Many riders of the Movistar team and also the entire Trek Segafredo team were caught out in the second group. So they had to work really, really hard to get back to the front. But they did. Also, we can see Alison Jackson there of the Tipco team. The polka dot jersey rider is Alena Amieljusic. There are many riders now in that polka dot jersey, in that mountain classification, who have 5 points, all having won one of those mountain sprints. And if they've all won one sprint, we just look at the position in the GC. And then Amieljusic of the Canyon SRAM team does best. And she is therefore wearing the polka dot jersey. The other jerseys, the orange jersey, of course, race leader Lisa Klein, she's in this group. We have the points jersey, Lorena Wiebes, 2 times stage winner. The young jersey also belongs to Lorena Wiebes, but is worn by Lonneke Uneken of the high-tech team. And the sprint jersey is for Kirsten Wild, who has now 12 points and cannot be overtaken anymore in that sprint classification. So Kirsten Wild has to finish this race, and she will be on the podium tomorrow after the finish in Arnhem. Sarah Penton, always very, very active in breakaways. Of course, the Virtue team ceases to exist next year, so riders are on the lookout for new teams. We still haven't heard where Marta Bastianelli will show up. Will she go back to the Ali Cipollini team, one of the 8 teams who have applied for a Women's World Tour license and therefore need the points? And they have lost Raya Paladin to the CCC Live team, the Italian rider who has many UCI points. So I would not be surprised if we see Marta Bastianelli back at Ale Cipollini next year because of her points. Franziska Koch, a phenomenal time trial rider. She also does a little bit of mountain biking and, well, she can do everything actually. Very astute rider, very polite, very quiet. She's not the kind of really out there rider, but she talks with her legs. And just remember that name. It was a great signing by Team Sunweb. And contrary to the men's team, the Sunweb women's team is a Dutch team because in women's racing, the license goes to the country where the most riders are from. And in the case of Sunweb, that is the Netherlands. But for the company, German riders are important. You can see that the gap is growing at the moment. Majerus is trying to bridge across there. She really has to fight hard for that. The Luxembourg champion, I think she has about 30 titles altogether now, with road, time trial, and of course cyclocross titles as well. Guazzini is also still in between the bunch and that breakaway. So we have those 3 riders up front, then followed by Majerus and then Vittoria Guazzini. Also, if I remember correctly, a first-year elite rider. So just like Franziska Koch, she's really, really young. Majerus made it across to the first riders. Gap indicated at the moment at 27 seconds. Great rider, Christina Judas, always working very, very hard for her team. But she's also still 10th in the overall classification, 20 3 seconds behind Lisa Klein. If you look at Franziska Koch, she's now 33, 2 minutes 22. Liane Marcus, she missed the split yesterday, so she's down over 9 minutes at the moment. And Sarah Penton is 9 minutes down on the race leader, Lisa Klein. So the best classified rider in that first group is now Christina Judas. And if we can go by the indication on the top of your screen, she is also she's also now the virtual race leader. If we look at Boels Dolmans, who are also the leaders in the team classification, we can see that Amy Pieters is now third. It's 6 seconds. Anna van der Breggen, 9th in 22 seconds. And Majorus 10th at 23 seconds. And of course, this race is the Boels Ladies Tour. The sponsor is the same as the team sponsor, so they will be adamant to really win this race. All the way at the back of the group with number 1, it's Annemiek van Vleuten. She won the race 2 years in a row, and we're racing not far from her home. She lives in Wageningen, if I remember correctly. So these are her training roads. Annemiek van Vleuten, who has been on altitude camp to prepare for the Road Worlds in Yorkshire, where she wants another rainbow jersey, of course, and preferably 2. Also in the first group, Lia Thomas of the Bigler team, Emma Norsgaard, the 2 best riders in the GC. If we look at Lia Thomas, she's now 11th in the GC, 24 seconds down on Lisa Klein. Great battle here by Vittoria Quizzini. Of course, incredibly difficult to bridge across on your own, but if she manages to do that, it will be absolutely incredible if she does. Closed roads here, which is becoming more and more difficult in the Netherlands to have assistance of the police. At the moment, there's about 250 police motorbikes available, and they are needed to make sure that the races in the Netherlands are secure. And next year, the amount of motorbikes in the Dutch police is going down to 150. So cuts are being made to securing races. Of course, they start first with the youth racing, the junior racing, but then in the end we also end up with women's races like this one, the Boels Ladies Tour, Amstel Gold Race, Ronde van Drenthe, the 3 World Tour races in the Netherlands. So this is becoming a big problem, because without the police you cannot secure races on public roads, because the traffic wardens, they don't have the legal possibility to stop traffic. Only the police can do that. So this is a problem. The National Federation is also talking with the Justice Ministry to make sure that there is a solution for the future. But at the moment, things are looking a little bit bleak, especially for the lower categories, the youth racing, the junior women, the junior men. And also some races have been cancelled this year due to the lack of police making sure that the races are safe. Annemiek van Vleuten, like I said, she wants not only 1 world title, she wants 2, because of course last year, you remember that well, she crashed on that knee. She actually broke her knee and could not take home the world title in Innsbruck that went to Anna van der Breggen. Incredibly, she did finish the race, of course, Annemiek van Vleuten, but this year she wants revanche, and she wants 2 world titles in Yorkshire, keeping that time trial rainbow jersey and adding another one to her incredible palmarès, and that will be the World Road Race title. Of course, she will have another chance next year when we have a very hilly World Championships in Aigle-Martigny in Switzerland. Our 4 leaders with Christine Majorus, Liane Marcus, Franziska Koch, Sarah Penton. They have about 33 seconds. Guazzini is still in between this group and the peloton. We have actually 1 climb today, which is the Oude Holleweg, which is not very high, but it's a cobbled climb. It's about 600 meters long, averages over 10%, and especially the cobbles make it really, really hard to get a grip to get a grip with your tires on those cobbles. And today with the wet roads, it's going to be even more treacherous, especially the descent, which is on cobbles as well. Well, I see a lot of chat on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. A lot of chat, of course, about the horrible weather and people happy that they are watching this on their screen instead of being outside riding themselves. People checking in from Hungary, from the Philippines, from the Netherlands, from Wales. Thank you all for checking in and watching the live racing here on GCN, because the more people enjoying the racing, the more racing we can bring you. And remember, we'll be back tomorrow as well with the final stage. That climb, the Oude Holleweg, will be 11.7 kilometers out from the finish line, so still about 20k to go. That will be a decisive point, but it looks like the gap of these 4 riders is going up. And they are working well together, with Majerus maybe doing a very good job for her overall classification, because in the Boels hierarchy, it's not really important who wins the race as long as somebody who has Boels on the jersey wins the race. Team here with Chantal Blaak and Jip van der Bos, they are in the normal jersey of the team. Anne van der Breggen, the world champion. Amy Pieters, the European champion. Amalie Diederiksen, the national champion of Denmark. And Majerus, the national champion of Luxembourg. Not many riders wearing the normal kit when you ride at Boels Dolmans, but it's a great team. Unfortunately, they were not on the list just yet for a World Tour team, because the UCI asks teams to give a guarantee for 4 years, and Boels is leaving the team as a sponsor after 2020. Well, this is an interesting situation, because we cannot see any chasing going on here, and the gap is going up. And there in the green jersey is Lorena Wiebes, who is the best rider in the world at the moment, but she just does lack a bit of a team, especially in situations like this. And look at the rain, it's absolutely pouring down now. This must be a second group, I guess, in the race, and they might be coming back due to the pace going down in the first group. An attack here by one of the Bigla riders. Look at the wheel, look at the water on the street. It's absolutely terrible weather at the moment, and it's not constant rain. It's like these big moments of where it really pours down and then it holds off again. Because you can see the roads are here are more or less dry, so it's very local where the rain is really plummeting down. These 4 riders, they work well together. Of course, CCC Liv is not doing any chasing, Virtue are not doing any chasing, and the same goes for Boels Dolmans and Sunweb. So it will be down to Mitchelton Scott, for example, and also Canyon Schramm, of course, to do the chasing here. But so far, nobody's really inclined to do anything. So this is looking very promising for our leaders at the moment. We passed the little town of Overasselt. This is actually the river area in the Netherlands. It kind of splits the Netherlands in half. Also a very cultural difference, because everything above the river more or less is Protestant, and everything south of the rivers Waal and Rhine is more or less Catholic, where they have the carnival every year. So it's a cultural boundary as well. But of course, as you might know, the Netherlands is a pretty small country, but these differences are visible. Lia Thomas, she crashed in the first stage. You can still see that she has the bandages on her arm, and she tries to bridge across. We haven't heard anything of Gvazzini just yet. Is she still chasing these 4 riders? You can see there's a little bit of wind there coming from the left-hand side of the road, and especially if we ride alongside the river. there is, it's difficult following wheels. Well, this might be a very interesting what's happening here, because Majerus, like I said, only 23 seconds in the GC. Here we have an image of that first chaser, Vittoria Gvazzini, very young rider, last year only a junior, and one of those riders of that up-and-coming generation. Of course, one of the most talented riders, the winner of the last stage in California, Elisa Balsamo, but also, of course, Marta Cavalli, current leader in the UCI Women's Tour. Young rider, Silvia Persico, Chiara Consoni. She crashed earlier this race, Chiara Consoni, and this Vittoria Concini. The only rider who is not an under 23 on the team is Maria Giulia Convalonieri. Look at these images, absolutely horrible if you have to ride. And this is, oops, somebody actually threw a bottle on Annemiek van Vleuten's head on the right side of the road. Luckily, she was not hit, the bottle didn't hit her bike, so she could stay upright. But, well, this was probably not the plan to hit Annemiek van Vleuten on the head with a bottle like just happened. That was quite a moment. But she can see the four riders, and that's the most frustrating thing, because she knows that she will not be able to reach across. This is absolutely difficult for her. She's so young. You can see also with Lia Thomas, who's a bit more experienced than Gvazzini, that it's hard. Now we can see a reaction there on the left-hand side of the road by Lorena Wiebes, and also the Canyon SRAM team are now doing something, because they know that Majerus is 10th in the GC, or 23 seconds down on SRAM, but there's not really a chase going on, so it's a very interesting situation. We have an abandon by Letizia Paternoster. Yesterday she missed the split when she was 4th in the GC, and she was already out of contention for the GC, but she also abandoned. Hopefully not a very bad crash for Letizia Paternoster. And in the case of Paternoster, it's such a shame that we don't have an under 23 World Championships, because that would be something that she would want to win after that European title in Alkmaar, which was actually a fantastic result by Paternoster. She was awarded the Best Athlete Award, Best Junior Athlete Award of Europe. So that spans across all the sports, not only cycling. And of course, she was 2nd at the World Championships, track cycling, the Omnium. And it was down to that very last sprint between her and Kirsten Wild to decide that Wild was keeping her Omnium world title. But she's going to be a very formidable rival to Kirsten Wild next year in Tokyo. Majerus looking focused as always. Like I said, normally she is the worker bee of the team, but she does get her chances to win. And now we can see a reaction from the Canyon SRAM team, with Alena Amilusik leading the chase now, with Nevadoma, and then in the orange jersey, Lisa Klein. Let's see if you can see them in the same helicopter shot. Well, not yet. So this gap is absolutely over a minute, and we have 26 kilometers left to go. Benton Koch and Rianne Marcus were the riders attacking. Majerus bridging across, and still no one coming out of that corner on the top of your screen. because that's where the peloton has to come from. This gap is absolutely well over a minute. And who is going to close down the gap on the 4 leaders? It has to be Canyon Schramm or Mitchelton Scott. Lorena Wiebes, as formidable as she is, she just doesn't have the team. Yesterday, 2 of her teammates abandoned the race as well, with Janine van der Meer and Esther van Veen. 14 riders abandoned yesterday. It was a very hard stage, including, amongst others, Gracie Elvin of the Mitchelton Scott team. So we are down to 74 riders, because earlier on in the race, Janneke Ensing and Ellen van Dijk abandoned as well after a crash. We haven't heard how they are doing, but hopefully they are okay. Janneke Ensing, normally one of the riders who gets sent to the World Championships as a domestique, but we'll have to wait for the official selection of the Dutch national coach, which 8 or I think 9 riders even go to Yorkshire. Lia Thomas, the American rider, keeps fighting, but it's going to be really hard to stay away. Leading the peloton at the moment, still Canyon Schramm, but it doesn't really look like an organized chase yet. Amir Lusik having a little bit of a gel there for those final 25 kilometers of the race. And Gvazzini, she's still in between the bunch and the lead group as well. So this is all going to be coming down to the final. But so far, it's looking really, really good for the group with Magirus. She's going to be the new race leader as it stands at the moment. Just to repeat the differences in the GC of our first 4 riders. Magirus, 10th in the GC, 23 seconds down on climb. We haven't had a bonus sprint yet. The bonus sprint is also on top of that climb. Rianne Marcus, 9 minutes down in the GC. Sarah Pintel, 9 minutes down in the GC. And Franziska Koch, 2 minutes 22. So that was a very, very smart move by Christine Magirus, bridging across to this first group. Now, we haven't heard a lot of riders yet of the Virtue team who have found new teams. And of course, it is going to be difficult for all of them to find a team. Very sad state of affairs, but Bjarne Ries, the former Tour de France champion of '96, prefers going for a pro-continental license with a men's team, and he says, well, we just have to give money every year to the women's team. We just cannot get sponsors, sustainable sponsors for the women's team, and therefore they are going to try to get a men's pro-continental team. They have already applied for that status. Question from Juan Acosta. Is Marianne Vos racing this race? No, she's not. She is actually at altitude camp at the moment, I think in Livigno in Italy, to prepare for the World Championships. And after what we've seen in the Tour of Norway in La Course, well, we know that Marianne Vos is in great shape to take another road race title. It has been a while that she was the road race world champion, so maybe it's about time she gets another rainbow jersey on her shoulders. So the 4-time winner of the Ladies Tour, Marianne Vos, is not racing this year. Well, if you're covering the Tour de France, you get a 300-page book with all the tourist attractions and culture and castles and everything. But I didn't have that, so I cannot tell you which castle we just saw on the screen. Lia Thomas is back in the fold. We can see Emma Norsgaard there on the wheel of Amy Peters. Great result of the young Danish rider. But it's looking more and more likely that these 4 riders are staying away. They are now on one of those climbs. Actually, there's 4 places in the Netherlands where you have a little bit of elevation. Yesterday we were in Nijverdal, the Sallandse Heuvelrug, where the last ice age, I think it's about 10,000 years ago in the Holocene, just pushed up the glacial debris, which caused a little bit of elevation in the countryside. And the same happened here, also due to the Ice Age. And in the south of the Netherlands, the highest point of the country is actually just above 300 meters above sea level. And that is the place where we have the Amstel Gold Race every year. So the Netherlands are usually as flat as a pancake, basically. But this is a place where there's a little bit of elevation. Emma Pyramide, amongst others. Holleweg. And tomorrow we're going to be here as well. Zevenheuvelenweg. Those are the climbs today. And this is also the terrain where the 4-day march of Nijmegen, the Nijmeegse Vierdaagse, that's a walking event. I think it's 30, 40 or 50 kilometers a day. And the day on the Zevenheuvelenweg is the third day. It's the Thursday. And it's always the most dreaded day because of the elevation in the course. Roads are dry here. It was very local. You can see that Wiebes has a teammate, but this is the moment where the GC is made. And if we look at the time now, the time gap at the moment, even Franziska Koch, it's looking promising that she's going to move up in the GC. She was 2 minutes 22 down on Lisa Klein before we started the day. But this still doesn't look like a very determined chase. You can see Amanda Spread there and Annemiek van Vleuten. But those four leaders, they're working so well together. Yes, Bob Ferguson, it was actually a big glacier. If you look it up, well, the Wikipedia is actually down in the Netherlands at the moment and in many places in the world because of a meltdown at the Surfer Center in Amsterdam. I joke you, I kid you not, it's true. There's Wikipedia. I cannot read the Wikipedia here, and it's not due to censorship. But the last ice age did cause some elevation in the eastern part of the country. Also left behind some really big boulders, and those boulders were used by the people about 5,000–6,000 years ago to create graves. Hunebed. Well, look it up. You've learned something every day. Very true, Luc Dekker. The highest point of the Kingdom of the Netherlands is actually a tropical island in the Caribbean, Saba. But, well, we're not racing there, unfortunately. Yeah, Christina Judas, 2 minutes already. And of course, it's not done yet. We have another stage tomorrow, which is similar in profile. And the same thing can happen tomorrow. But Boels Dolmans is a very strong team, and they know how to defend the lead. And they will probably not let something like this happen. But tomorrow's final is going to be very spectacular. But as things stand at the moment, 20 kilometers from the finish line, it looks like Christina Judas is doing a fantastic job to secure the overall win in the Boels Ladies Tour. So we're going to look at each of these riders in the first group with the former Swedish national champion Sara Penton. She is 30 years of age, was the national road race champion in 2017 and has been part of the Virtue cycling team since 2017. Only one win on her palmarès, and that is the national championships I mentioned before. Rianne Marcus is part of the CCC Live team, and she has one win only, and that was in 2017. The Omloop van Borselen. The Dutch rider is 25. She's very tall, 180, about the same height as Franziska Koch, and she lives in a place called Zwarte Kat, which you can translate as Black Cat. It's actually a few houses just outside of Amsterdam. Zwarte Kat, or Black Cat, is where Rianne Marcus lives. She's been part of the team around Marianne Vos since 2017. Her, well, arguably greatest result, I think, stands out was her 4th place in the Amstel Gold Race last year, where she rode an incredible race and showed that she can do really well on that terrain. So she was 4th, just behind Chantal Blaak, who won the race that year in the rainbow jersey. Looking very determined here, Rianne Marcus. Still Guazzini in between. We have not had a current gap of the Italian rider and the 4 leaders, but she's still not giving up. So that's admirable of the young Italian rider. Franziska Koch, she was born in July 2000, the German rider of Sunweb, 19 years of age only, and she started with Team Sunweb this year. She was 4th in the Festival LC Jacobs, but back then she was still riding with the club team of Max Watersley. Next week there's the last Junior Nations World Cup in Watersley, and a little bird has told me there will be live images of that last UCI Junior Women World Cup. So look out for that next week, because you can see who is ready for the World Championships in Yorkshire in that junior category and who's not. But as it stands, we expect a wonderful showdown between the American rider Megan Jestrap and Eleanor Backstead of Team GB. The last rider of the breakaway I haven't mentioned just yet is Christina Judas. She is 32 years of age, so she is the oldest rider in this breakaway of 4. And of course, she also has the biggest palmarès, winning races like the Festival LC Jacobs, the stage race in her own native Luxembourg. She has, won numerous world titles, but also won races like La Classique Morbihan, the Sparkassen Giro in Germany, and also Dwars door de Westhoek are some of the wins for Christina Judas, who has been part of the Boels Dolmans team for a while, since its inception in 2014. We are on our way to the Oude Holleweg, 600 meters only, but cobbled and steep, very steep. It's 11 kilometers out from the finish line. There's 3 bonus seconds on offer there, and of course Judas will be interested, but if she pulls this off, she will have a 2-minute gap on the competition, which is really big. Last year, when we had a long time trial and a road stage in the south of the Netherlands, there was not even a gap that big in the top 10. Now we can see that one of the riders of the Parkhotel Valkenburg team is riding, trying to close the gap, but they just don't have the strength in numbers at the Parkhotel Valkenburg team. Of course, they have grown in strength, and as you can see, with 2 top riders like Demi Vollering and Lorena Wiebes, the rest of the riders are getting better as well. Look, for example, at Femke Marcus, the sister of Rianne Marcus. First little incline on our way to the Oude Holleweg in Bergendal. And if you go out riding there one day yourself, they have a great pancake house on top of Bergendalse Weg. Well, the pace is up now in the peloton, but will it be on time? You can see that Guazzini is now caught back. Valiant effort by the young Italian rider, but she left it a little bit too late. She ideally should have jumped across on the wheel of Christina Judas, but at least she tried and she showed herself. There in that orange jersey, Lisa Klein. You can see Alice Barnes, the national champion of Great Britain. Ami Lusik in that polka dot jersey. Also Ashley Mormon-Passio up front there and all the other available riders of the Canyon SRAM team. There's been some discussion on our Facebook page about Chloe Dygert. Of course, she ruled the Colorado Classic. But my main concern with Chloe Dygert is that she has indicated that she's not very keen on racing in a peloton. And we know, of course, that she has the legs to podium at the World Championships in the time trial. If I remember correctly, she was 4th last year. But I'm not so sure about the road race and how she competes with the top Euro and Australian riders in the European peloton at the moment, who have done fast races like the Boels Ladies Tour next week, the Belgium Tour, the Tour of Norway. So I'm a bit concerned about Chloe Dygert riding in a peloton, as she has indicated herself. And as we have seen in Colorado, she preferred riding away from the peloton and arriving solo. And I think she did that 4 times. It was an incredible performance by Chloe Dygert. And if we look at the world records now at the Pan American Games from Ashton Lambie, I think he got it down to 4:05 on the individual pursuit. I'm so curious to see what Chloe Dygert could do on that track at 2,400 meters above sea level at the Pan American Games, because she already beat the world record individual pursuit in Apeldoorn, which is at sea level. So it will be interesting what kind of time Chloe Dygert rides at the individual pursuit at altitude. But we will see her, I think, next week in the Lotto Belgium Tour. And we will see her at the World Championships in Yorkshire. And then we can answer the question how she measures up against the top Euro and Australian pros. Barnes and Barnes, they are trying to get the gap down. Look at the shape of that bunch. You can see that it's hurting. Today's stage, 135 kilometers. And they have put a little bit of effort into bringing the gap down, about 15 seconds. But I don't think it will be enough to catch back these leaders. 14 kilometers, we are approaching the Oude Holleweg, the climb of today. Zevenheuvelenweg, Bergendalseweg is where we are now, on our way to the Pancake Restaurant. I don't think they have time to stop, but at least maybe something to look forward to when they come back. There it is, Bergendal straight ahead. If we go left, we go to a place called Heilige Landstichting, which is actually one of the weirdest place names in the country. It's called the Heilige Landstichting, or the Foundation of the Holy Land, and they have a Bible museum there as well. So, you know, still working very hard here, Alice Barnes and Hannah Barnes. Gap now down to 1:42. Yesterday, the gap indicated 40 seconds and it was only about 5. So we'll have to wait and see if these gaps are accurate. But from the helicopter shot a little while ago, we could see that it was a really, really big gap. Going left here, going towards Nijmegen again, where we have the finish alongside the Waal River, the Waalkade, or the quays of the Waal River. Very beautiful city, Nijmegen, very historical. Like I said, the oldest city of the country, all the way back in Roman times, Novio Magis. This is Bergendal, and then we go onto the cobbles shortly. Roads here look really dry, which is good, considering that we are going to climb and descend on cobbles. Well, I can remember struggling at this part when I climbed this last year with my dad. Especially this turn is actually the hardest part of the climb. It's about 12% up. And then we go towards the Oude Holleweg, which I can assure you I skipped because I cannot do 10% and higher. Monique Teneglo is leading the bunch at the moment. Now we have a gap of 1:16 all of a sudden. And Bob Ferguson is already impressed by the roads here around Nijmegen and Arnhem. Yeah, please come over, Bob. It's absolutely beautiful here. It's about 400-500 altitude meters. It's about 400 to 500 altitude meters in today's stage. But I can assure you they do sting the legs. Teneglo leading the bunch there, the tall Dutch rider. Twisting and turning. And this is exactly what I mean with my concerns with Chloe Dijkert in the European peloton. But I hope she proves me wrong because she is absolutely a fantastic rider. And I've seen her take those 2 world titles in Richmond, Virginia. And she's incredibly down to earth as well. Married to Logan Owen, pro rider of Education First, currently riding the Vuelta España, where we have a stage 2 of Oviedo. And of course you can see those highlights here on GCN Racing later today. On our way to Oude Holleweg, there it is looming. You can see the motorbike, and if this old gentleman crosses the road just in time, the riders are starting the Oude Holleweg. It's comparable a little bit to the Paterberg. It's a little bit more easy than the Paterberg in the Tour of Flanders. And you can see that Sarah Penton is struggling here on these gradients of up to 10%. And the motorbike has to be cautious to pass her because he has to make sure that her safety is guaranteed. And he can now pass her and go back to the leaders. Great climbing there. It's the Oude Holleweg. Great climbing there by Christina Judas. I think we're doing going down on the cobbles then. I misread the schedule. And they make it look so easy, these women. They make it look so easy, but trust me, dear viewers, this is horrible. Tagliaferro with 1:44, one of the 2 remaining riders of the high-tech team. They lost 2 other riders yesterday with Lucy Garner and Julie Solvang. Emily Diederiksen there in the red jersey for most aggressive rider. UCI Commissaire Joey Imnes from the roof of the car. He travels the world as well. And of course this is a difficult decision for the Commissaire to make because he knows that the gap is going down. But he also knows there's absolutely no room on the side of the road to park that neutral car to make sure that the competition is fair for everybody. And normally when the gap is going down, we have to, the jury has to make the decision to park the cars on the side of the road, but everything's so incredibly narrow here. If that gap is correct, I just cannot imagine it going down so fast. But still, Christina Judas gives her all to stay away. All the way at the back of the bunch here with Rotem Gavinovic. Also with Ariana Pruiser of the Dutch national team. Amelie Diederiksen is there as well. 1:26 is Lauren Kitchen, the former champion of Oceania. And now we're racing again on the downhill. And the rain is coming down again. The last part of today's stage is flat. Question from the Philippines, from Charity Durano. Yes, I've heard of the Arkea Samsic creating a women's team, but as it stands right now, it's a club team in the Division Nationale in France. So it's not going to be a UCI team, but who knows what will happen in the future. Our breakaway is now down to 3 with Christina Judas, Rianne Marcus and Francisca Koch. Sarah Penton, who actually initiated the break, dropped at the start of the Oude Holleweg. And these are the cobbles that I was talking about. And if these roads are wet, they're absolutely treacherous, but they're only part wet, which doesn't make it any better, because sometimes it's better to have a full wet road than having these wet patches of road. Well, this was actually the climb of the day. I hope you're not that disappointed, because this was it. And now we're making our way back to Nijmegen, or not making our way back to Nijmegen, because today we don't have any local laps. We are going to Nijmegen towards the Waal, across the bridge. But that last part is wind in the back. That's a good thing for these leaders, but it's not very windy today, about 2 to 3, wind force 2 to 3 on the Beaufort scale. Still virtual leader, Christina Judas. But the gap was indicated at over 2 minutes, but it's not that anymore. You can see if we can get a time indication. Rain is coming down again. And these are really dangerous roads. These stones are actually called kinderkopjes in Dutch, which means the heads of little children. I kid you not, it's true. And they are really, really slippery. But we're back on the main road, which is a little bit safer. And hopefully the camera can pick up the moment that the peloton also gets across to this road. They're not there yet. Last indication that indicator that we had of the gap was 30 seconds. I think it's going to be a little bit more than that, because they are now on that path of the kinderkopjes on the little stone. So I think the gap is still around a minute. These stone bricks there. I do think it's still over a minute, because that's where the gas station is. And just past the gas station, they are going to make a left-hand turn and then back onto the main road. So the gap is still over a minute. Oh no, we're looking at a second group there. So it should be around 50 seconds, I think. But if you look closely, you can see that the peloton is already in the same frame, or at least I think I saw them. There's no team cars behind the leaders anymore, only one neutral car. Working very hard here, Kasia Niewedoma, Amy Pieters, Lizzie Dijknen, Lisa Brennauer, Lucinda Brandt, Floortje Mackay, Lorena Wiebes is there, Lizzie Banks, no, it's Lia Thomas, and that's Lisa Klein, Annemiek van Vleuten, Anne van der Breggen, Ashley Molman, and in that white jersey it's Lonneke Uneken, and in the blue jersey as leader of the young rider classification, Marta Cavalli. I think it should be about 40 seconds at the moment. No more than that. Let's see if we can see the peloton in the background. And that changes things, of course. Yeah, there they are already. That changes things tremendously, because just as we came off the dike around the river Waal, the gap was big. It was at least 1.5 minutes. But it's nothing like that anymore, because we can see them chasing. And due to the pace of the Canyon SRAM team here with Polish rider Kasia Niewiadoma, the group has split in two. Alison Jackson is there for the Tipco team. Amanda Spread, Anushka Koster, Marta Bastianelli, Lucinda Brandt. Looks like all the big riders are in that first group. If you look at the top 5, Lisa Klein, Wiebes, Pieters, Brandt, Annemiek van Vleuten. Sarah Penton here, caught back. The gap should be about 30 seconds. And they are actually looking at each other. Christine Judas still the driving force in that first group. There we can see Sarah Penton and the group of about, I should say, 18 to 20 riders. The big peloton has split into. They are chasing down our 3 leaders. Our leaders already through that turn. Now 30 seconds to go. 35. So the gap is actually 40 seconds at the moment between the leaders and the peloton. So that still looks very nice for Christina Judas, Franziska Koch and Rianne Marcus. Rianne Marcus from a cycling family. Femke Marcus of the Parkhotel Valkenburg team is her younger sister. And Roos Marcus, also part of the family, also a cyclist, but not with a UCI team. With Rianne Marcus, the oldest of the Marcus sisters. With Femke Marcus also in this peloton. And she has really made a good impression on me this season. Femke Marcus really shown huge progress, as have most of the riders of the Parkhotel Valkenburg team. Still Kasia Niewiadoma leading. Of course, Amy Pieters is not doing any work in the chase because she has Christine Majurus up front. In third position, it's Lizzie Dijknen. They have lost Pater Noster and Ellen van Dijk today. 2 of the riders of the Trek Segafredo team have abandoned. So the team is down to Dijknen, Longo Borghini and Trixie Worrack. Dijknen is, of course, not doing any work. She is 6th in the overall after yesterday. Following Dijknen is Elisa Longo Borghini, the winner of the last edition, unfortunately, of the Imekamen Bira, the UCI Women's World Tour stage race in the Basque Country. Huge, huge shame, but the race will not take place next year anymore due to lack of funding. The new Clásica San Sebastián got considerably more money from the Basque federal government, about 8 times more than the Bira. And due to the new rules of the UCI with live TV images and increased prize money, etc., the organisers in the Basque Country cannot do a stage race next year. So Elisa Longo Borghini is going to be the last winner of that iconic race, which was held since 1992. Unfortunately, because the women's peloton don't have many races with many altitude meters. Some horse dung there on the road, carefully avoided there by Rianne Marcus. Majurus is the fastest sprinter, I should say, of this group. Of course, she has won bunch sprints in the past, Christine Majurus. 23 seconds in the overall down on Lisa Klein, so she is on her way to the orange jersey. But to be a little bit more secure for tomorrow's stage, she would also want those 10 bonus seconds on the line. I think she already took the 3 seconds on the Oude Holleweg, which was also a bonus sprint. See if I can get confirmation. Well, not yet. It's hard to multitask if you're doing this on your own. Yeah, I have confirmation there. Christina Judas also took 3 seconds bonus time on the Oude Holleweg. So she's now down 20 seconds on Lisa Klein in the GC. We can see Lisa Klein there on the right-hand side of the road, where teammate Lia Thomas is still doing all the work, and the rain is coming down again. Nice little road here, leading us towards Nijmegen. Final 3K there for the peloton. So it's about 500 meters between the peloton and our 3 leaders. So Judas can do what Lisa Klein did yesterday, win the stage and overtake the lead in the GC. But of course, after missing the split yesterday, Rianne Marcus is also adamant to win the stage. She has not got a very long list of results. Only 1 win in her career. So she really wants that this year. Absolute heartbreak for Rianne Marcus in the final stage of Festival Elsje Jacobs. She attacked in the final stage and was overtaken by the bunch in the literally final 3.5 meters. That was absolutely heartbreaking. So she deserves a win, but Franziska Koch also deserves her first pro win. And Christina Judas, after all the work she always does for the team, is equally deserving of a win. So these 3 riders will have to battle it out on the finish line. And as we saw yesterday, Amy Pieters being the big favorite after winning that sprint in Alkmaar. But she was beaten on the line by Lisa Klein. And that can also happen to Christina Judas, of course. Not many female riders in Luxembourg. Some upcoming riders like Claire Faber. But still flying the flag here is Christina Judas. Beautiful country, by the way, Luxembourg. So if you're still looking for that cycling destination, think about Luxembourg. Fantastic roads, great climbing, good food, good hotels. Absolutely lovely country. We're going towards the final kilometer, still in the pouring rain. And there's the attack by Rianne Marcus. She's going to try the exact same thing. Look at the monster gear that she has on there. Rianne Marcus tries to attack and ride away from Judas and Franziska Koch to avoid that bunch sprint. She has to try, of course, Franziska Koch in full time trial mode behind Rianne Marcus, but that was a very powerful attack by the 25-year-old from the Netherlands of the CCC Live team. But she will be caught back, unfortunately for her. But that was a very valiant effort by Rianne Marcus. Still not back is Christina Judas, and still not back is Franziska Koch. Gaps are really small. Franziska Koch working her way back onto that wheel of Rianne Marcus. And then, of course, Christina Judas finds herself in the ideal position to contest the sprint. She can sit there in the last wheel. Or will she try a different approach? She will try a different approach, not waiting for that sprint. Christina Judas towards the finish line here, alongside the River Waal on the Waalkade. Judas in first place, Koch and then Rianne Marcus towards the finish line. We're inside the gates. Where is that finish line? It's behind that last turn. Oh, very treacherous last turn there. But everybody stays upright, and it's a sprint between Christina Judas and Franziska Koch. And it looks like the German takes it. That is a surprise, but that's exactly what I was saying. Franziska Koch seems to be the winner of today, and that must have been because Christina Judas did so much work in that breakaway. Of course, she bridged across herself and then also did most of the work in the breakaway. But the clock is ticking. Christina Judas is the new race leader. Floortje Mackay is bringing the bunch back home with Lizzie Banks there, with Lonneke Uneke, with Lorena Wiebes. But all the bonus seconds are gone for now. 35 seconds, meaning that it looks very promising for Christine Majerus. She already has 20 seconds in the GC now on Lorena Wiebes. But no stage win for Majerus, but a stage win for Franziska Koch. Her first pro win. She made a mid-season transfer to Team Sunweb. She was already on the cards last year. If you looked at her early season races, you could already see that she was riding on the Cervelo bikes of Team Sunweb. But they waited a little bit longer, let her take a little bit more experience at the Max Watersnij team. But then she made a mid-season transfer. But this is absolutely a name to remember. Franziska Koch, remember that name. She is going to be big. Second group here with Balsamo, Nathalie van Gogh. Many riders of the Boels Dolmans team there. Also Amia Lusik. But look at that sprint again. Majerus, she bridged across to the first three riders. Did all that work, and then she did most of the work in the breakaway. And that's exactly the energy she's now lacking to beat Franziska Koch in the sprint. Great result by the German rider. Her first UCI Women's World Tour win, and I believe there's many more to come from the 19-year-old. She only turned 19 in July. Franziska Koch, remember that name.
Didn't expect anything like this.
And Majerus is absolutely cooked. The speed of Koch in that sprint is bigger. Rianne Marcus in third place. Kirsten Wild still keeping that blue jersey with 1 day to go. She loves racing in the rain, but she was not contesting the sprint today because we had a breakaway who sprinted for it on the line. This is the Waal River, the oldest city of the Netherlands, Nijmegen.
You're just in the team and you won a stage in a Women's World Tour race.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's super amazing. I didn't expect anything like this, and yeah, so yeah, I have no words for it in the moment.
What was your tactic in the finale, in the last case?
Yeah, actually, because I was just a support rider, yeah, my task was to just stay calm because Majerus was the rider in the front group, which was the closest in the GC. So yeah, my job was just to be calm and yeah, actually waiting on my teammates in the behind for our leader. But yeah, that's amazing.
And then Rianne Marcus attacked, and you stayed calm also.
Yeah, I first stayed calm and then I thought, okay, yeah, I just close the gap and then see what's happening. I knew that 250 meters were the left-right corners, and yeah, there I want to be at the second and then just go and hoping that it's enough for the finish.
And what does it mean for you, your first pro victory?
I don't know. It's yeah, I think it's a good start for my yeah, career. So I hope I can continue on a good way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is the start of something great for Franziska Koch. Born on the 13th of July 2000. Well, doesn't that make you feel old? Some images there of today. Ooh, absolutely horrible crash there by the rider of Parkhotel Valkenburg, Belle de Gast. Lisa Klein here in the orange jersey. She loses the jersey to Majerus. Lisa Brennauer, Lorena Wiebes also crashed apparently on these wet roads with Anna van der Breggen in the second group, missing out on that first split due to the rain and the wind. Then a group with three riders, Sarah Pinton, Franziska Koch, Rianne Marcus, Christine Majerus, bridging across Vittoria Guazzini trying to get across, but she didn't make it. Also, Lia Thomas tried of the Bigler team. And then on the Oude Holleweg, it was Sarah Penton who had to let go of the 3 leaders. Canyon Schramm worked hard. They tried to bring the group back together. They didn't succeed in doing that. So in the end, we have the 3 riders on the Oude Holleweg, with Magirus taking 3 seconds, with Rianne Marcus in orange trying in the final kilometer to do an attack, but Franziska Koch closes it down. And then in the sprint, with this last turn at 100 meters from the line, Franziska Koch on the inside beats Christine Magirus, takes her first pro win, her first UCI Women's World Tour win. And what a way to start your career. 4th place by Lizzie Banks, beating Lorena Wiebes, Lonneke Uneke and Alison Jackson, Eugenie Duval, Lia Thomas, Floortje Mackay. But our 3 leaders are on the podium today, with Franziska Koch, Christine Magirus and Rianne Marcus. And Christine Magirus is our new race leader. She has, I think, about 24 or 25 seconds now on Lisa Klein. Tomorrow, our final stage in reverse order from Nijmegen to Arnhem. It's a little bit longer, 155 kilometers with a few mountains in the final. So be sure to tune in. We'll be here about 1:15, 1:20 Central European time on GCN Racing. So thanks for watching and see you again tomorrow.